Final word for all that cricket, fueled by Kookaburra cricket. I'm Adam Collins. I've got Geoff Lemon with me here. He's been up and down the country following the Women's World Cup in week one. He hasn't missed a game yet. He's the best person to ask about how things are travelling in this landmark tournament for women's cricket.
Well, that's right. As long as it wasn't the New Zealand-South Africa game, which was mainly rain, but, Australia-West Indies at Taunton a few days ago, completely dominant performance by the Australians there, and then England versus Pakistan absolutely smashed them off the park. It got rained off a bit early, but not early enough to stop the result.
Now, make sure you stick around to the end. We've got Nicole Bolton. We're talking to Kookaburra's own. He made 107 not out in Australia's demolition job of the West Indies. But, Geoff, the key word coming into this tournament was evenness, and we saw some evenness early on with India knocking off England. Pakistan nearly did South Africa on the Sunday, but Australia really reminded everyone who runs the world.
That's right, and that's the song they've been playing before every game. Beyonce, shout out to you. I know you're a regular watcher of the Final Word. There was this talk about evenness, and then the way that Australia thrashed the West Indies. They were the finalists last time around, 2013. They played off in the big dance, or they danced off in the big play. I don't know what they did. There was dancing, there was playing. But this time, they were nowhere to be seen. The West Indies were just struggled along to a total of 204. They couldn't get any rhythm going, and it was quite a good batting deck, and the Australians showed that when they came out, chased it 2 wickets down. Beth Mooney crashing 70. Their opening partnership, 171, was it?
Yep.
I mean, just outrageously dominant stuff, and then much closer in that Pakistan-South Africa game where it was all nerves and they were trying to sort of outchoke each other by the end.
And the other in the traditional Big Two women's cricket, England, they lost their first game, as we mentioned, to India, but they bounced back effusively with Heather Knight and Nat Siva, Kookaburra's own Nat Siva, making maiden ODI hundreds. Nat Siva, let's talk about her. That was a punishing innings. The way that she can hit the long ball makes her the most damaging player in world cricket.
That's right. I was at the press box at the Leicester ground, and there was 1-6 that very nearly hit the window of the press box, just below us there. Big bang, big crash, and there was a lot of that happening in her innings. She was coming down the wicket with confidence, lofting over long on, lofting straight, and doing it all with ease. So some beautiful batting we've seen. And then that India-England game, Smriti Mandana, the incredible 90 off 72 balls, all style, flicks over mid-wicket, cover drives over the top. She's got the lot.
Yeah, she thinks she's David Guerra in disguise. Smriti Mandana, one of the finest players in the world to watch. Today we have behind us Sri Lanka taking on Australia. It's a bit of a mismatch, but on Sunday we have games everywhere, 4 games across the country, and it's a big kind of day of cricket. It's going to be especially the India-Pakistan game. We see in any format of sport those two teams playing each other, it'll bring the crowds.
Well, absolutely. I think first, we've got that Sri Lanka-Australia game, which, there's always that chance that they can come in and cause an upset. They played poorly against New Zealand, the Sri Lankans, so they'll be keen to bounce back. And then the Australia-New Zealand game on the Sunday is probably the biggest in the comp, I reckon, in terms of shaping where teams will end up. Rain could always be a factor, but those two teams, probably the strongest batting lineups and some very varied bowling lineups. So depending who can come out on top there, could be the early psychological edge.
Absolutely. A couple of blockbusters there. As you said, today it's Australia, Sri Lanka. Next week we'll be back with a final word from, I don't quite know where yet, maybe Taunton, maybe Leicester, Derby. That's the nature of this tournament. But for now, make sure you stick on and watch me talking to Nicole Bolton yesterday. Made a ton for Australia. Adam Collins here with Nicole Bolton, Australian opener. Made 107 not out as Australia thrashed the West Indies in their opening fixture on Monday down in Taunton. Nicole, you made a real statement against the World T20 champions.
Yeah, it was good to get the first game out of the way. I think our group played an outstanding brand of cricket. Bowlers were superb, and it was good for the batters to finish the job.
And you smashed them. 107 after you passed 50, sixes over the bowler's head on 3 occasions. You must have felt good putting the foot down and really showing that you can hit the long ball as well.
I don't think there was any sixes, but thanks very much. No, no, it was, I think, a really good start. A bit cautious early on, but I think once we sort of kicked into gear, it was nice to, finish the job.
And the West Indies, for their part, they perhaps didn't quite step up. They were the World T20 champions. You beat them in the final 4 years ago in the World Cup. Did you expect a slightly tougher contest in the first hit out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all know what the West Indies can do, particularly in the T20 format, and I still believe they play quite a good brand of cricket in the 50 overs. So I think a couple of their players maybe left a few runs out there, but again, I think that's just a reflection of how well we bowled.
And for your part, Nicole, how important was it to you coming to a World Cup, your first World Cup innings, making 100, the long journey you've been on in cricket so far? Like, how important was it to go out there and do something like that?
Yeah, it was just such a great opportunity to go out and represent my country opening the batting for Australia, and to have a great opening partnership with Beth Mooney, who's hitting the ball like it's a beach ball at the moment, was just awesome. And then obviously to be there at the end to really see the job through was good.
And you're seeing across the tournament at the moment, India beating England in the opener. That was a really big deal as far as showing there's many more teams now that can win it than maybe could in previous tournaments.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is probably the most even World Cup that we've seen. And, you know, the results show that on any given day, any team can win. So you really have to make sure that you're on song from ball one.
And in terms of looking forward, unfortunately, we would be outside if not for the fact that it's pouring with rain here in Bristol. You've got Sri Lanka tomorrow, provided the rain stays away. Have you done much scouting of them, or do you remember much about them from playing them in the ICC Championship?
Yeah, I think when we travelled to Sri Lanka and played against them, they were quite heavy with their spinners, so I guess we'll expect them to field a pretty strong spin attack. They've got a couple of explosive batters that can really take the game away, so you know, we'll be treating it just like another game and making sure we go out there and get the job done. In
terms of other games around the tournament, England made 377 yesterday with two of their players making hundreds, including Nat Siva, Kookaburra's own Nat Siva made her maiden ODI 100. Have you been thinking a little bit about the times in this competition where you may have to go on and make 350, 380, maybe even 400 if batting first to win a game of cricket? Yeah,
I think that's sort of, I guess, the outcome, but just depends how we go at the time. We'll just assess the game. We've definitely bat a long way down, and we've got some real explosive hitters that can come in at the back end and can really take the game away from the opposition. So, you know, hopefully we get to see some of those girls go on the last 10 overs and really bring it home for us.
Nicole Bolton, thank you. Kookaburra's own 100 in her first World Cup game. Australia got off the mark with the perfect start against the West Indies on Monday. This is the final word for all that cricket, fueled by Kookaburra Cricket. We'll see you next week.
The bat that I'll be using for the 2017-18 season is the Ghost. As you can see, it's a beautiful piece of wood, great mid-sweet spot, and it really sort of complements the way that I play.